Hello everyone, and welcome to our spiritual discussion for today. I know it's an impromptu one. Normally I say that, I'm going to do a spiritual discussion, but I was meditating and I felt the call to do this. Just like our card said this morning, let's rise above. And that means, stepping into that leadership role, stepping into that healer, stepping into all of these beautiful, fabulous archetypes. And that's what I want to do for today, is step into this with all of you. And so remember, and just like with any spiritual discussion that I have, this is, a discussion. It's between both you and I. And that's how we are discussing. So, but I am going to move over a smidge because I have to turn on the laptop so I can see all your beautiful comments. So I got to move that over for a minute. And then open the laptop here, and then scoot on over. So for this spiritual discussion, like I said, it is a discussion. So right now, at least in the United States, and I'm sure it is prevalent in other places across the United States as well. Hello, and thanks for joining. That right now, we are in a lack mentality. It's just the truth. That's where we are. We are in a lack mentality. And we are doing a lot of reacting, not responding. Hi, Karen. Hi, Gayla. Hello, hello, Michelle. Hey, Debbie. Thanks for joining. So, we really are in this reactive stage. And when we are reacting, what we're actually doing is we are responding to an emotion. That's what we're doing. Hi, Lori. So we're responding to an emotion. And the emotion right now that we're responding to is fear. And it is an extreme emotion. So it is leading us to some extreme measures, to some extreme reactions. And, maybe that means going out and buying out the whole, Kroger of toilet paper or water or canned goods. And I completely understand that that is where a lot of us are in this moment. But we want to move from that reactivity to response. We don't necessarily want to be coming from that fear or from that place. We want to start coming from that place of peace, from that state of grace, which is our natural inheritance. That's where we really want to begin to come from. And I understand that right now, when you look at, your screen, when you look at, Facebook, when you look at Instagram, when you look at Twitter, when you look at, the news, you're seeing a lot of empty shelves. You're seeing a lot of that craziness. But we have to remember one important thing. Our eyes do not see. What they do is they report back what we believe. And that is exactly what is happening right now. We are believing in lack and in scarcity. So in turn, we are seeing that lack and scarcity. We're seeing it outside of ourselves. We are projecting it onto the screen. And I understand, you may say, well, okay, that's great, I'm projecting it on the screen, but that still doesn't mean that I have the items that I need. And what we have to remember is you will have the items that you need. That's nothing to worry about. But we have to first recognize where you are. And where you are is in that state of fear and in that state of lack. And we have to be willing to say, okay, first let's acknowledge that. I'm in a state of fear. I'm in that state of lack. Like, that's where I am right now. And I have to be willing to recognize that, to acknowledge that. After I acknowledge it, okay, let me process that. However it is you want to do that. And then from that process, then we release it. Where we get stuck is in the process and the release. So happy to be here. Love your teachings. Bless you. Well, blessings to you. Thank you for joining. So that's where we really need to be with this, is in that space of, okay, I have recognized that I'm in fear. I've acknowledged it. I've acknowledged that the way maybe I've been behaving or the way that I have been acting has not necessarily been in the most responsive way. Okay? Recognize that, get that. Now, hi, thanks for joining. Now let's move into that process. Okay, so how can we process this? Well, it's just by that. Sorry about that. It's just about that recognition. As we come from that recognition, now we move in to the next aspect, which is that releasing it. And releasing it is just about forgiving it. Okay, I forgive myself for believing that I am anything less than provided for. I forgive myself for behaving in a way that was reactive instead of responsive. I forgive myself and I'm willing to see this differently. That's all that it takes. You know, the Course in Miracles tells us that a state of grace is our natural inheritance. And when we get to that state of grace, everything is effortless because we are being guided. And Spirit is always talking to us. It doesn't matter if you're in fear, it doesn't matter if you're in panic. Spirit's always talking. It's just, are you listening? That's the only thing. Are you listening? Because right now, with all the fear, with all that stuff happening, we have a tendency not to listen to that small, still voice, that small, still nudge that's kind of just poking at us saying, hey, you know, you might want to do this, or hey, consider this. We're instead listening to the voices like, go out there and go buy everything right now. Go. Quick. Run. Run. That's the voice we're listening to. And that's the voice that we have to be willing to step back from. And say, no, thank you. No. I'm not going to listen to that. And like I said, it's through that forgiveness. But that's the way we move into that state of grace. Because a miracle is nothing more than a shift in perception from fear to love. That's it. That's all we need to do is shift that perception. And the shift in perception is not necessarily all up to you on your own. You do have the free will choice. You can choose, I'm going to continue to stay in fear, or I'm going to move into a different vibration, a different mentality, a different mindset. But it is your choice on what it is that you do. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some practical steps that we can actually use to move from lack and move into that state of grace. And our very first one that we have to do is we set our intention, our goal, our whatever else you want to call it. We set that as peace. That's the first thing we have to do. Okay, I set my goal, I set my intention for whatever I'm about to do, for wherever I'm about to go, and I set my goal as peace. Number one. And what that does is that automatically attunes your mind, automatically aligns you to a state of peace. Like it's automatically there. It's automatically an alignment for you because you're making the free will choice to do so. Okay, you're making the free will choice to do so. So that's our first step. Then our second step is we realize or we recognize that what we are seeing with our eyes is a representation of our own belief. Okay, so I've set my goal as peace, but let's say I'm still seeing some craziness. Okay, I realize that what I'm seeing is just my own belief projected back to me. So I forgive myself. I reset my goal. Very simple. Forgive myself, reset my goal. Then we ask, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say and to whom? That's it. It's very simple to move back into that state of grace. It's just about making that choice that right now, the road that you're going down, the fearful road, that doesn't feel too good. I don't really like how that feels. So let me take this step back and let me observe it. Let me see it in a different way. So what I want to do now, I've kind of just given you, just a brief overview, but I really do want to open this up to questions, comments, or concerns about what we've just spoken about, in this brief little discussion. So I am here to do my very best to answer those questions based on the topic that I've just been speaking about. Because that is how I believe I can be of most help and most assistance, is helping you get out of that state of lack and into that state of grace. So like I said, I will open it up to questions, comments, or concerns about what we've just spoken about. And as I am waiting for those questions, comments, or concerns to come in, I'll just kind of continue on this same thread, which is, notice that I'm not saying I know. I'm saying I understand. Because I do. I understand exactly where you're coming from, because I'm in that same boat. And I will tell you a personal parable from my life. So we did our Walmart, click list. We do it from our laptop, and then we go pick it up. And hey, Cynthia, thanks for joining. And so we filled out our list, but there were some items that we didn't have. Now, were they necessary items? No. But there were items that we did, need. And so I recognized it and I said, okay, I see that this is part of my fear rising up, that, there's not going to be enough for me, that there's just not enough for everyone to go around. I recognize that. And in that recognition, I forgive myself, I reset my goal as peace, and I remind myself of who I am. Not that I'm Ron Schaefer, not that I'm Ron Schaefer of awakeningmiracles.org, not that I am a website owner, not that I'm a business owner, not that I'm an entrepreneur, not that I'm any of those titles the world gives me, but that I am the divine child, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, fully protected, fully provided for in every way, free to forgive and free to save the world. And I reminded myself of that in that moment. And then I said, okay, Spirit, I've set my goal as peace. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? And I didn't hear anything. So we drove home. That was it. We just drove home. And then the next day, I said, okay, where would you have me go? And it said, go to Kroger. But I had just seen a post saying that there were like 45-minute lines. And I was like, oh my goodness. But I heard, go to Kroger. So I did. And what do you know? I went in. They had 2 of the items. I got the last one of 2 items that we needed. Went into the line, didn't wait at all. Literally just walked up to the checkout, checked right out, got in the car, and was done. Simple and easy. Everyone in the store was very calm, cool, collected. It was a very peaceful experience for me. But imagine if I wouldn't have set that intention. Imagine if I wouldn't have said, instead of seeing that post and taking it seriously, because when I saw that post, believe you me, my fear went up and I was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be this big long line. No. Okay. That's what my eyes are telling me. My eyes are telling me it's crazy. My eyes are telling me it's insane. My eyes are telling me that, I can't go there. But you know what? Spirit's told me to go there. So you know what? I'm willing to forgive this. I'm willing to set my goal as peace. I'm willing to know that there is no order of difficulty in miracles. I'm willing to step into the truth of who I am and trust that Spirit will guide me, because Spirit only wants me to be happy. That's all Spirit wants. So I'm willing to step into that. And then what do you know? I had an easy and effortless experience. It's not because I'm special. It's not because I'm an intuitive person. It's not because I read A Course in Miracles. It is simply because I remembered the truth of who I am, that I am the abundant child of the divine. That's the truth of who I am. It's the truth of who you are. But like I said, right now, we don't see that. Right now, we are coming from this place of, like I said, reactivity. And we're reacting to the fear. And it's okay, but we have to forgive ourselves and not go into that lack mentality. Not give in to the fear. And I understand that sometimes that's really hard, especially when you're like, well, I have bills to pay and I have childcare that's closing and I don't have anyone to watch my child, which means now I'm not going to have food on the table, which then means this and this and this. But we have to recognize one important thing. Okay? You will be provided for. It is going to work out. We don't know how it's going to work out. It's not necessarily our job to know. Our job is to trust. And like I said, I understand in these uncertain times, trust is a commodity. It's like gold. How can you trust? You move into it. You show yourself there is no order of difficulty in miracles. And you demonstrate that by demonstrating that you are willing to listen. And that's it. So that is a way that you can begin that process. So the process, like I said, it's acknowledgement. I am in fear. I acknowledge that. I forgive, I process it. So, okay, this is why I'm in fear, because my eyes are showing me, there's not enough. It's my eyes are showing me that things are closing. These are the reasons I'm afraid. These are the reasons I am reacting in the way that I am. I forgive myself, which is the release aspect. I forgive myself for that. I forgive myself for believing that. I want to remind myself of who I am. Okay? Reminding myself of who I am. I am the holy child of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, innocent and provided for in all ways, free to forgive and free to save the world. So then from there, then we make the decision, the free will choice. Okay, do I want to continue with this, or do I want to move down in another way? How do I want to proceed? Do I want to continue to react, or do I want to go down into response? And that's where we have to be, is I want to respond. I want to go down, this area. And so we make that choice, and you can even say, I would like a miracle, because guess what? Lesson number 77 in A Course in Miracles is, I am entitled to miracles. It's your natural inheritance. You deserve the shift from fear to love. You are entitled to that shift. You can have that shift, but you have to choose that you are willing to see there is no order of difficulty, that nothing will stop you. Good evening. Thanks for joining. So that's what we really have to see here, and be willing to see, and be willing to take that full responsibility for. Okay, I get to ask for a miracle whenever I want. I get to see the truth whenever I want, if I choose it. So that is, where we have to go with it. Okay, I'm choosing that miracle. I'm choosing that shift. I now set my intention. I set my goal as peace. I ask Spirit, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And then I do what feels peaceful and compelling in that moment. I do peaceful and compelling. Has to be both. It cannot be one and it cannot be the other. It has to be both in conjunction. Peaceful and compelling. And we have to move in that way. And that way, we can really be guided. Because that's what's important, is to rely on that guidance. So once again, I want to open it up. Questions, comments, or concerns about what we have just talked about. Hi, Monica. So questions, comments, or concerns about what we have just spoken about. If you have questions, put them there. There are no stupid questions. If you feel like you understood everything completely, great. You can give me a thumbs up in the comments, or a heart in the comments, or let me know that you understand. Because that's what I want to bring as much as possible, is clarity and understanding, most of all. Just joining, what are we talking about? Well, we just currently kind of wrapped up our talk about fear, really, about how we are in lack and how we can move into grace and how to do that. Thank you. I never realized I was in fear until you said something. Well, Kelly, I am so glad that I was able to bring that awareness to you, that there was some fear there, and now you can move into grace, you can move into miracles, instead of staying in fear. Hi, Susan. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. And so all I did was just open it up for questions. How do I avoid not feeding into the feelings of my partner who is overreacting, full of anxiety and impulsive buying? He is anxious and I feel his vibration so strongly as we are so close. Karen, I absolutely love your question and I thank you so much for it. You need to just be the presence of the alternative. That's all that you could possibly be, is that presence of the alternative. Now, yes, you can do your best to allay his fears. And I understand because, my mom was also in fear and I did not want to feed into it. I had to keep on saying, making my goal is peace. I had to keep on doing it. So one thing that you can do is you can ask for that guidance on, okay, what would you have me do here? Another thing that you can begin to do is really recognize that his fears are also some of the fears that you have as well. Recognize that. Okay, he's really anxious. Well, I have some anxiety because his fears, his anxieties are some of mine. I recognize this, and it's what I recognize. That's what I see. And I have to be willing to 100% acknowledge that, process that, and release that. And invite, every time that anxiety comes up, nope, I'm going to invite peace. Right now, maybe for him, impulsive buying is what is making him feel peaceful and compelling. What's making him kind of bring down the fear and maybe bringing up his peace a little bit because he feels like he's prepared. But what we have to do is not necessarily reprimand him or say, you're doing a bad thing, but instead say, like, I totally see where you're coming from. I totally get it. But is this what we need right now? Like, is this what we need right now? And just asking that question. You can also, if it is an energetic thing, if you're feeling it energetically, if you're like, oh my gosh, his energy is too much, or this is too crazy, all we have to do is a great energetic tool. Just imagine yourself surrounded in a pink and porous bubble of pink light. And that's all you have to do. And you remain in that peace. Maybe even invite the angels of peace and serenity. You can do that as well. These are the beautiful spiritual tools that we have at our disposal to begin to deal with all this anxiety, all this stuff, angels of peace and serenity. I invite you into my space. I invite you into my mind. Help me to see this differently. Help my partner to see this differently in whatever way. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining. That is beautiful that you are saying that you are safe, because you are eternally safe. You couldn't be anything but safe. But that is some ways that you can begin to deal with, how other people are reacting to this, is recognizing, okay, it's a call for love. That's another way that we can do it, is recognizing that what they're doing is a call for love. Because that's really what everything is. Either everything is love or it's a call for love. You are welcome, Karen. My pleasure. I would love more questions, comments, or concerns about, what we've talked about. If you guys have those questions, that's what I'm here for. I want to bring clarity, understanding, and peace to the best of my ability. So, yeah, that's just what I want to bring. So if you have questions, great. If not, that's okay too. But that's what I wanted to dedicate this time to, is just being of service and helping people to really step back into the miracle, step back into that state of grace, because that is our natural state of being, is grace, is peace. And, one thing we also have to realize is that the world, as crazy as it is happening, and there's going to probably be some backlash from this, and I understand why, but the world is not happening to you, it is happening from you. And I understand that you may be like, well, I did not say that I wanted a virus to happen. I didn't say that I wanted things shut down. I didn't say any of these things. I didn't even think any of these things. It doesn't mean that you necessarily thought them, but what it does mean is that it is a thought in your mind. That's why it's happening. It's a thought in the collective consciousness that is rising up, that we now, like I said, have the opportunity to grow from. I am spending time with my birds. I am just letting them out to play. It's helping me. They are 3 cockatoos. Oh, Kelly, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you are taking this time to play with your birds and to, just come into joy, come into happiness, because that is your true and natural state. That's actually how peace is characterized, is by joy. That's how you can know that you've moved into that state of grace, that state of peace, is because you feel joyful. And so, as we see this collective stuff rising up, it's our opportunity, like I said, for growth, our opportunity to forgive it, our opportunity to say, okay, instead of react to this, I can respond to it. And my response is going to be forgiveness. My response is going to be seeing what I truly believe. That's what my response is going to be. And that's really that's all that we can do, is see that response and respond instead of react. And if those around you are still reacting, that's okay. Like I said, you be the presence of the alternative. You stay calm, because your calm will emanate to all those around you. It will. I promise you it will. Because whoever is saner at the time, whoever's energy is in love, will be the dominant energy. And that is why I came on to do this talk, because I want that dominant energy to be love. And I know that, just like I said this morning, we all have to step up. And this is my way of stepping up. This is my way of saying, you know what? I want things to change, and I must be willing in my own mind to see things change, and I must do what is in front of me to do. And this was something that was in front of me to do. This is something I was inspired to do by Spirit. It said, you need to go live and you need to talk about this. And I said, well, what am I going to talk about? It said, going from black to grace. And I said, okay. And so that's what we've kind of touched on. So any other questions, comments, or concerns about what we have spoken about? Like I said, if you have them, you can type them in the comments. If not, then you can just give me a heart or a thumbs up in the comments. Let me know that you've understood what we have spoken about. You feel good about what we have spoken about. You can use the practical tools that we have spoken about to begin to really step into that grace, step into that peace. So I thank you all for joining me. I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for stepping up into peace and into grace. And if there are any questions on the replay, I will do my very best to come back and read them once, I'll come back and read them and answer them to the best of my ability. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you all later.